The moment our fellow geeks, dweebs, nerds, and other unfortunates have been fervently waiting for has finally arrived. It's time for TMI, Confessionals of the Nerd Kind. And now, your hosts, Jeff Nerf Herder Chandler and Jim Kaiju Baker. And now, let's get on with the show. Here is TMI.
Welcome, everybody, to our latest. We've got a round of 5 Bucket Club episodes that we.
I will tell you though, this has been fun. I've really been enjoying backtracking on some of this stuff.
Yeah, it benefits us when there's nothing really to see at the box office.
Well, I mean, I guess there is stuff to see, but we chose either not to cover it or talk about it.
Yeah, well, in some of these cases, like Ballerina, I've not been seeing good things about, so maybe that's a blessing.
A gentleman I work with was like, "Oh, I can't believe I'm so excited." John Wick's, and I said, "He's going to be in a flashback sequence. He's not going to be a main character. He's going to show up at the beginning or in some flashback thing. He's not going to be throughout the movie."
Yeah.
You know, we couldn't talk Mission Impossible without diving into the other 8 movies.
Is that how many there have been? I don't even know.
I believe this is the 8th, yes.
I think I've only seen up into the one with the sandstorm. I don't even know which one.
Oh my gosh. Is that the one where the mummy opens his mouth and eats him?
With your reaction, I think that's probably I think, 10 movies ago, right?
Which are you going to finish first? Fast and Furious or the Mission Impossible?
It's more likely Mission Impossible than Fast and Furious. Likely.
I do want to see this Mission Impossible movie and everything I'm reading, which is if you're going to watch it, go watch it in IMAX.
Well, this is usually the case with everything, right? I would have loved to have seen the movie that we're going to talk about today in IMAX, but it just wasn't available.
No.
Yeah.
You're lucky you saw it in the theater.
I'm lucky I saw it in the theater.
Yes, because I'm going to tell you.
Actually, everybody in my theater was lucky that they saw it in the theater.
I was not so lucky.
You were not so lucky.
I did not get to see this in the theater.
Oh, no, the whole impetus of us doing this.
I know. I had one screening. It was a 4:00 in the afternoon on a Saturday. And unfortunately, the Chandlers are headed on vacation next week, and I just had way too much to do, and the day got away from me.
But you have this, right? So you were able to pull it from your library?
I have the box set on DVD, and I also have a box set Blu-ray that includes Kingdom of the Crystal Skull.
Okay. So hopefully it includes bonus features, because I didn't dive into any of that.
There was a complete different disc for the bonus features. That covers all the movies.
So let me give you a little background as to what my experience was.
I would love to hear it because I am jealous.
So Fathom Events was playing this over Father's Day weekend. I had several showings that I could go to around the area. Wanted to make a Father's Day afternoon out of it. So we traveled to Danbury, Connecticut.
Ooh, AMC?
AMC. They had a 1:00 showing.
Nice.
And it was on the laser screen.
Oh.
So it was extra vivid. And
wow.
it did really kick off of that screen. But we did a day of record shopping in Danbury.
Did you go to your favorite pizza place?
We didn't, because I can't eat that anymore.
Not even on Father's Day? Not even once a year?
You know, those that survived the heart attack, the pizza is the number one food that you should not eat. So
I give you props.
Yeah, couldn't go to Frank Pepe's is what we're talking about.
Okay.
So
it's too bad. Sorry to hear that.
So we did hamburgers, we did record shopping, and then we did the movie. So it was a Fathom event at AMC. And just like any other Fathom event that I've been to, there's a little package at the beginning of the movie. There was a trivia game. This Indiana Jones expert kind of guy was leading you through some questions. And as I mentioned before, in one of his trivia questions, he gives away the big reveal that Indiana was named after the dog. So any kid seeing this for the first time is going to know that joke already. I'm going to
take you to a treat. He's like, I already knew that.
Yeah. They saved that for the very end. It's almost the last line of dialogue in the movie.
Correct. That's unfortunate for a 36-year-old movie.
It is unfortunate because
But
there
still,
are people that haven't seen it yet. Believe it or
correct.
not. Yeah.
But these are also people who, know that Darth Vader is Luke Skywalker's father and have never seen Empire Strikes Back.
Well, my son thankfully didn't when he saw it, and
That's good. That's good
I got the
parenting right
reaction
there.
from him that I wanted right there. Yeah.
What? That's not true. It's
And
impossible.
the other-
That's about Luke said the same.
The other great thing about it was the first time he ever watched. It was before any of the movies. He watched his first Spider-Man animated show. And he's like, "Wait, Spider-Man is some guy named Peter Parker?" I'm like,
Oh,
yeah.
wow. It's amazing. You don't like this stuff is just so ingrained in us. And you don't think that there are people out there who really don't know this. And you're like,
Yeah.
what?
Yeah.
Wait a minute. Kiss are just guys in makeup? What?
But yes, so there was this little, maybe a 5-minute trivia game. And then you get an introduction from Leonard Maltin.
Oh, he's still around?
He's still around, yeah. He gives a little bit of factual information about the movie. The audience for this are tried and true fans, right? Bringing their families after, because they saw it when they were kids or younger.
Teenager date night.
No, it's not. So there was a lot of families. There were a lot of younger kids in here with their parents. So it's everybody. All the fathers in here are obviously already well acquainted with this movie and the rest of the Raiders, the Indiana Jones movies. So as Leonard Maltin is going through, he's like, this was the third film in the series, which was started by Raiders of the Lost Ark in 1982. And one guy yells out, 81.
Leonard Maltin with the
I know, he messed that up. I couldn't believe it.
Not a single person on set said, sir, should we?
They probably were afraid. They're like, maybe we shouldn't, because he is
What?
older, right? He is older. They didn't want to correct him.
I'm not correcting that.
He got the Temple of Doom right, though. 84.
Which was 84.
Yeah.
And then this is 89.
89. So this comes 5 years later.
Yeah.
But still in the 80s. So it was really,
Sure.
if they had ended it at this movie, which was the plan.
Which I think they literally ride off into the sunset at the end of this movie.
Yeah.
Come on.
So it would have been, encapsulated in the 80s, an 80s trilogy.
Yes. Yeah. Do we count those other two?
I
guess so.
tend
There's certain
not
people-
to. The box set that I have, and I'm quite happy with it, is the 3 movies, and that's
my
it.
DVD, but I do on the Blu-ray.
They add in Crystal
Kingdom of
Skull.
the Crystal Skull. I do not own Dial of Destiny. I have rewatched it because I think it's popped up on Max now, or maybe it's Paramount Plus. One of them. It's on something. So.
How does it stand up when you rewatch?
And it's actually enjoyable once you get over we are definitely going to do this time travel thing. And I still argue at the end of the movie, he should have stayed there. But they did have to wrap it up in a nice bow with Marion. You can't be making these movies when these guys in their 80s. It's all I'm going to say.
Well,
although I think with Crystal Skull, the intention was to kind of literally pass the hat to Mutt.
And I'm glad that didn't happen. Because imagine that movie.
Well, they did him dirty because they completely just killed him off screen in the last movie.
Well, there's so much baggage now attached to that actor that I think it just would leave a bad taste in people's mouths.
Well, just the minute you have him swinging through the jungle with like Tarzan with monkeys, that left a bad taste in my mouth, regardless of what he does behind the scenes. So, but anyways, we're not talking about that one. We're talking about
Roger Moore can get away with that, by the way.
Roger Moore. And you know what? Speaking of 007, we got Sean Connery in this.
Sean Connery, not only, but, when this movie opens, as we all know, famously, because he was in his prime then, River Phoenix dons the hat.
Yeah. This opening prologue is fantastic.
Imagine in an alternate reality where he took up the mantle from Harrison Ford.
Well, that was the intention. That's why in 92, Lucas, because of this prologue, Lucas loved the idea so much. And so that's why he created the Young Indiana Jones Chronicles, the TV show. And River Phoenix did not want to get bogged down in a TV show. Back then, it still had a bit of a stigma. I'm a movie star now. I don't need to do television. So then they brought in that Patrick Flannery. Flattery?
Was that the portly doll-faced kid also in Young Indiana Jones?
Oh, Herman.
Yeah.
I will say this is such a treat, this opening sequence, because River Phoenix is doing such a fantastic job of channeling Harrison Ford. Not Indiana Jones, but his mannerisms, his smirky half grin. Although it is a little much that everything we know about Indiana Jones comes from this one incident.
It's established in
this
like
one
this
event
10-minute.
Gives him a scar, lets him pick up the whip. He gets a fedora and a fear of snakes.
And a fear of snakes.
And I will say this though, because we did curl up and watch this last night. And my wife was like, she's sitting there watching this like it's the first time she's ever seen it. And when he pulls the snake out of the kid's shirt and he goes, it's just a snake. She goes, did he just say it's just a snake? Isn't he afraid of snakes? And I'm like, have you never seen this? Like, this is how. Although that anaconda, I don't know how it held up on the big screen, but
it was cool. It was like, very, a big monster coming out of the water.
It's very obvious that all of these animals are, except for the lion, are animatronic. The giraffes don't even move. They're just like big stuffed animals.
So this prologue is River Phoenix as the young Indiana Jones, and what was it? They're on horseback in Utah, and he's with Boy Scouts or whatever it is.
Some kind of a scout. Yeah.
And they split up to investigate the caves themselves. Probably
immediately. This Cub Scout leader is like, all right, guys, go off.
I know. So if they had never run into these robbers, they probably half of the scouts would never have come back because they would still be in the caves to this day. Yeah. But Indy and what was his name? Herman?
Herman.
The trumpeter Herman?
I believe it was Herman.
And of course, Indy's always got to tell him to shut up. So why does Indy get stuck with him? Or are they improbable best friends like you always see?
I got the impression that they were friends. I don't know. It's never really established. It's just to get to the sequence.
Pretty obvious that Indy is the Mo of this situation and Herman is the Curly. So but yeah.
In a museum.
So the second they go into the cave, they turn a corner and boom, they're watching an archaeological.
Bad guys, yeah.
They're not really bad guys though. They're there legitimately.
But it's interesting because for a second you think that's Indiana Jones.
Because
You're not
he's got
to believe until he leans in and Herman's like, Indy. Then you realize that the kid is Indiana Jones.
Yeah, he says Indy about 10 times, so you cannot miss it. This is Indy. Audience, ding, ding, ding.
And they've uncovered the Cross of Coronado. And Indy immediately steals it because it belongs in a museum.
Yep, which he says out loud on several occasions.
Yes, correct. It is his mantra. That and X never marks the spot until it does.
So he gets out of the cave and then he looks around. He's like, everybody's lost but me. They're still in that cave. They're actually still there.
That's a good line. Yeah.
Yeah.
Everybody's lost but me. Yeah.
And then it goes into an Octopussy circus train chase.
Yeah, circus train.
Talk about Roger Moore. I was expecting him in a gorilla suit. Mishka, Grishka.
That's so bad. Dunn and Duffy circus, yeah.
All Indy needed was Roger Moore when that lion came up, sit, and he would have sat down.
That would have been a little too on the nose. But this is fun. It's a fun chase sequence. He ends up in the snake pit.
Yeah. Classic Raiders without Harrison Ford, though, because you have that wonderful John Williams score, playful yet urgent at the same time, always enhances the action. It's never distracting. Always. It never gets lost. You're always aware of it, but it's as an enhancement.
Yeah, it is. It is definitely an integral part of every one of these movies.
Yeah.
His score.
So, we get Indy's fear of snakes, the explanation of Harrison Ford's scar on his chin.
Yeah, which I've read multiple accounts, and I don't know which one's true. For years, I always was led to believe that it was a carpentry accident. But when I was doing my research for this, I read that it was from a car accident when he was in his 20s. So I'm not sure what to believe. But it's just part of his character. But
he gets away. He gets off the train. He runs home to Dad, who is tells him to stop. You never see. Professor Jones or Mr.
No,
Connery for that
it's
matter.
not even him. It's Alex Hyde White.
That's not his finger that tells him to stop.
That is not Sean Connery.
Oh.
He dubbed the voice, but that is not him physically. He was not on set that day.
Tells him to stop, count to 20 in Greek.
Yeah.
And just to show how much he pays attention to his son, he makes it up to 3 and then walks out of the room. And he's like, oh, whatever.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, he's busy drawing little nights in his diary.
Yeah. Is he even aware when the all of law enforcement comes into his front parlor?
No, we never see him again.
No.
You got a heart, kid, but that's mine.
Yep. In these past 5 minutes, I've become more of a father to you than that guy in there.
Yeah. You're going to base your entire existence on me.
Yeah.
Yeah. His character doesn't even have a name because I'm like, this guy's the true hero. He's the one who inspires Indiana Jones to be who and what.
I'm surprised that wasn't more of a name actor that they chose to play that part.
No, Richard Young. I don't know who that is, but his character's name is just Fedora, just like the other guy that he works for, Panama Hat. So they're just named after their hats.
Now, the kid that's working for him with the suspenders, is that the crony from A Christmas Story that gets punched in the arm? Ow!
Wow. I don't know.
He's dressed the exact same way.
Right. Scott Farkas?
Yeah, Scott Farkas is crony from A Christmas Story.
No. But yeah, he gives him his hat. He gives him the hat.
Yep.
There you go. Here's a gift. And then this is like one of the greatest transitions where, he slips the hat on River Phoenix's head. And then when he lifts back up, it's modern day Indy.
Yep.
Getting the crap beat out of him by the same guy.
Those truly clueless would say, that's Indiana? That kid was supposed to be Indiana Jones?
Right, correct. Wait a minute. I still didn't get that. Yeah, they were banging it over your head. But this is a fun transition. I really like this.
Yeah. And so he's caught up with the guy that paid Fedora to get him the Cross of Coronado.
Yeah, because it still belongs in a museum.
It belongs in a museum, but it's this guy's rightful property. He bought it.
What if he has a museum?
Yeah. And he killed him. He killed him for it.
Blew the whole ship up. The boat. How did he get back home?
Several people for it.
Yeah, he blew up. I got it, Marcus. Cost a lot of lives.
And how did he get back to school? That's
I want to know. I did make a note. Like, how did he get back?
That's the prologue. So now we're into the movie proper. So I just want to say here, this is treading on familiar ground because you had a classroom scene starting off Raiders after that prologue.
Yep.
Right. So you're fighting Nazis again. So you're in tried and true territory. Raiders territory.
Which is not a bad thing.
It's not a bad thing. Maybe this was because they got a little bit of cold feet when they went into something different in Temple of Doom.
Spielberg has gone on record as saying that the reason he directed this is to atone for the backlash.
I don't like that because I really like Temple of Doom. Temple of Doom.
Right. It's a great movie.
It's my favorite.
Dark. It is dark.
That's probably why it's my favorite. But
yeah. I was like, I shouldn't be watching this.
But I'm not disparaging this movie for treading those waters whatsoever because it's a welcome return to the original Indiana Jones that we were all introduced to.
Adventurer at night and Dr. Professor by day. He's a part-time
how good of a teacher he is, I don't know, because he skips out on his office hours.
Not only that, it doesn't look like he was well respected. I mean, his office is like in a boiler room. Yeah.
But he's got all the stuff that he's collected in his school office. So I think that stuff belongs in a museum, actually.
Listen, by the time you get to the 5th movie, he belongs in a museum. I'm sure we made that joke when we covered that movie. So, but yeah, we see Marcus Brody, and unfortunately we don't get to see him again because he passes away. Denholm Elliott. I guess he was diagnosed with AIDS right before they started filming this.
Really? They were wow.
Yeah. And he was ill. They said a lot of times while they were filming, there were certain production days that they had to kind of work around him.
And this is just one of those guys that's in a million movies that you've seen, and just a wonderful character actor that the movies that he was in wouldn't be as good, if he wasn't in.
Yeah. And as serious as he was in the first movie, and he wasn't in, I don't think he was in Temple of Doom.
No.
But they bring him back here to be fodder. Once you bring in Sean Connery, who is the straight guy, then they really make Marcus more of a buffoon. But I think it's fun. I don't think it takes away from his character at all. Like you're like, how is this guy a dean in charge of this school?
You don't really, as you said, you don't really need comic relief because you've got enough comic banter going on between
Right.
Indy and his father.
Yeah.
But this is just that little bit of extra, that they can both agree upon something, that this guy is a bit of an idiot, right?
Yeah.
So,
but it also, because he's got that weird quirk thing going on, like when these two are not on screen together and you get Salah and Brody together, then they're like a comic duo in and to themselves. So, but you mentioned, this guy as a character actor, but Julian Glover, who played Donovan, is very much a character actor. And he has actually been in quite a few franchises, including Empire Strikes Back. He was General Veers. And if you noticed, when they're at the party, when Indy's at his party and he's trying to tell him about his associates and talking about the Grail, and his wife comes in, Donovan's wife comes in to tell him that the guests are asking for him or whatever. On the piano, they're playing Darth Vader's Imperial March.
they are not.
They are. Yeah.
Did you hear that yourself?
Once I knew that it was there, then I was able to hear it.
That is crazy.
But he was also in you just mentioned For Your Eyes Only. He's in that. He's Christados.
Yes.
Yeah.
Oh man, I didn't even put that together.
Yep. And
he was missing the evil goatee in this that he had in For Your Eyes Only.
He's also Grand Maester Pycelle in Game of Thrones.
Wow.
And I met this gentleman. He signed my Star Wars poster, and he was the nicest gentleman I've ever come across. Very affable, came right out, took pictures, shook hands, gave hugs.
He wasn't duplicitous?
He was not duplicitous. It was almost like he's been acting in these movies.
Wow, he is good.
Yeah.
He is good.
He looked, especially compared to what he looks like at the end of this movie, he looked pretty put together.
Yeah.
So yeah, I mean, he's been around for a while as well. Built a name.
So he lays down the exposition here. That's his job at the beginning of the movie.
Yeah.
Okay, I'm looking for the Grail, and your father was helping me previously, and now he's disappeared. That's just putting it in a very small nutshell. But we have half of this tablet here that kind of is giving clues as to where the Grail can be found. We just need the other half in order to see the full picture.
Yeah.
So from there now, Indy has a new adventure to go on, to find not only the Grail, but his missing father as well.
Could you consider his dad the missing Grail?
It could
Since he never really had a dad as a father figure.
Yeah. Or
Spielberg getting a little heavy-handed here.
Conversely, is the Grail Indy for Professor Jones. So.
Oh, look at you.
Yeah.
I will say it didn't even dawn on me that Fathom Events dropping this on Father's Day weekend is genius, because it is very much a father-son movie.
It is. But we also get we get the map, the little line with the map at this point.
Yes, which is iconic.
Yeah.
Old school. Point A to point B. Thank you.
And now kids today, we'd be like, hey, that they're using the Soarin' thing from Epcot.
Oh, yeah. No, and this is where we're introduced to Donovan's associate, Dr. Elsa Schneider.
Okay. We cannot talk about her without bringing up the actress's name.
Yeah, you made fun of it last week. I can't believe you do that.
Sitting in the theater, when her name comes up, there's laughter
Were there people
throughout the theater.
And I think you mentioned, if you're going to go into a profession like this, did you consider changing it? Because apparently the story goes that she was unaware of Howdy Doody. So when people were like, Howdy Doody, and she had no point of reference to that, but just the fact that Doody is a poop joke. So you've got two strikes against you, and yet you're like, yeah, this is what I'm going with.
Yep, I'm all in with this name. She's all in.
All right. And to be honest with you, outside of this movie, I couldn't tell you anything else she's ever been in.
This is the biggest thing on her resume. She's been in several other things, yes, but this is far and away the biggest thing on her resume.
When she turns evil, is she just puts her hair in a bun. It's like, oh, now you're a bad guy. Until that her hair was down.
Well, she had the accent the whole way through.
That's
So,
fine. You can't judge somebody based on their German accent.
in an Indiana
I
Jones
can't.
movie,
Well, that is true. It is 1938.
yeah,
Was it 38? Yeah.
like finding the little model of Disneyland under the desert in Raiders of the Lost Ark, and
Right.
he's got to put the amulet up, and then the sun shines on it. It's
There
a
you go.
similar thing where they're in Venice, they go to this library, and they're looking at these Roman numerals that his father had left behind on a written piece of paper, and they
Well, he
figure
has
out.
his dad. When he finds out that his dad is missing, is when he realizes that his dad had mailed him back his diary, the book that he kept all of his notes in. He mailed me something. I'll just keep it in my pocket.
But it brings them to this converted church library that used to be a church.
And immediately destroys it.
And wow,
There's a hole in it.
puts a hole in the floor. That's terrible. It's a nice sight gag though when the guy is
Correct.
stamping the books
it's a little slapstick, but it works.
Raiders had the snake scene.
Yeah.
Temple of Doom had the bug scene. And in this movie, we get rats.
Yes. I did find this interesting. So there are 1,000 real rats. And I guess this insurance company, Fireman's Fund, actually underwrote the world's first insurance policy with a 1,000 rat deductible. But there's 1,000 real rats and there's 1,000 animatronic mechanical rats.
They built 1,000 animatronic rats?
That's what I read. 1,000 mechanical rats. And then Ben Burt, the great sound designer, came in and recorded chickens and then just high pitched it. And that's where your rat sounds come from.
Wow.
I did want to call out the opening movie. Like, those snakes don't hiss. And yet, anytime you see a snake on screen, it's hissing.
Yeah.
I guess you just have to have that. Like, I've never heard a mouse make that noise in my life.
Well, I have in my cat's mouth. Yeah.
Right. That one is just running around.
And I'm trying to get it out, to pry the jaws apart. But yeah, I read that they put in a PO for those 1,000 rats for 1,000 clean, disease-free rats. Now, how do they
had
vet
to breed
that?
them? They had to breed them.
But still, are they each individually interviewed? Okay, where have you been since you've been born? You've been with any shady rats here, or
you didn't see the inspection line? Turn your head and cough, please.
But the funny thing is that more parallels to Sean Connery. There's a very infamous rat scene in From Russia with Love, similar where they're under the bad guys'
catacombs.
Catacombs, yeah. Okay, so part of the story that Julian Glover lays down in the beginning is that the Grail was protected by 3 knights.
Yep, Knights Templar.
The Knights Templar. And one of the knights is found under this library. So they find the knight's shield, and lo and behold, the shield has the same writing as the tablet did. So now, if Indy does like a little chalk rub, he can get the rest of the words.
Which is now completely covered in water, but I guess it survives.
Now, does a stone coffin float on top of the water?
It did in this one. Well, no, I think it was wood. I think the top of it was wood. Because the rats were coming through the holes.
Okay.
I don't know. Now's when you want to suspend disbelief.
Hey, I'm all for suspending disbelief, but you got to ask these pertinent questions still.
Correct. And if you've never seen this movie, you're wondering to yourself, like, why are the Shriners so mad at him? Like, these little guys running around in red fez hats. But yeah, they light the damn thing on fire. You're going to kill them. Yeah,
the Grand Poobah has this. So did they ever say why it was just oil underneath and not?
I would just assume thousands of years of crap from above, crappy pipe work, just leaking into there. I don't think that OSHA had been down there in quite some time.
But this leads us, talking about the Grand Poobah, Mr. Fez, to a great boat chase, because there's that great joke where they come out of the outdoor restaurant from the manhole cover. It transitions into a boat chase, and then he's got the Mr. Fez, and he's like, "Talk, where's my father?" And they're going into the propellers of the giant ship, and it's chopping the boat up. I love that. I love that visual.
Scene. Are you crazy? Don't go between them. Go between them. Are you crazy?
I am in the Brotherhood of the Cruciform Sword. Why they don't just call it the Brotherhood of the Grail to keep it simple, I don't know. But
we don't want to talk about the Grail.
Yeah.
The first point about the Grail protection is don't talk about the
Don't
Grail.
talk about it. You're looking for the Grail. Of course I'm trying to kill you.
Yeah.
So Mr. Fez lets loose that Indy's dad is being held in a castle on the Austrian-German border. So they get there. There's a slapsticky scene where Indy is doing his best Scottish accent to
Oh,
get
now
in.
you've done it. I've gone and caught a sniffle. Does it give you Scottish law? Then I'm Mickey Mouse.
And lo and behold, who has his dad but the Nazis?
I hate these guys.
Still trying to get their religious artifacts. They haven't learned their lesson.
So the Fez guy, was he complicit in helping the Nazis capture Dad so that he wouldn't keep looking for the Grail?
Maybe the Nazis were too much for the Brotherhood.
So they're like, well, the Nazis take this guy and we'll just worry about anybody else that comes along. We'll keep that the Nazis don't find it first.
We'll keep an eye on them and, try to thwart them as much as we can. I don't know what the story is there.
Yeah, because they knew where he was. So he's got to sneak into the castle and immediately gets bonked over the head by Dad. And this is Sean Connery is playing so against type at this point, and I love it.
He's, helpless on his own.
Right. How he even got that far, I have no idea.
He just kind of haplessly, he hits Indy over the head with a vase, which he looks at after he hits him. Oh, Ming Dynasty. He doesn't care that he's just injured his son. Correct. Right?
Oh, good news. Thank goodness. It's a fake. But you see Indy immediately revert to like a 12-year-old.
Yep. Like, sir, he's calling him.
Right. Yeah. Junior. And so that's never, again, like you said, it's never explained. We've always heard him. It's Indiana Jones. And he calls him Junior throughout this whole movie.
The Nazis bust in the room. He's like, they want my diary. Good thing, that's why I mailed it, to get it as far away from me as possible.
You didn't bring it with you, did you? I should have mailed it to the Marx Brothers. Again, just so deadpan, like just so like I'm so disappointed in you as a human being.
And another great joke is that it turns out Elsa has slept with both of them.
That line when he reveals that she's a Nazi and he's like, "You knew that?" And he goes, "You didn't?" He goes, "How do you know?" He goes, She talks in her sleep." Apparently that's ad-libbed by him. In the first take, the crew cracked up. They couldn't use it.
What was the real line?
I don't know what the line was, but that was his ad-lib.
Oh.
So they left it in the movie because that's all you need to know. She'll do what she's got to do in order to get this Grail. She got to sleep with an old man, then she sleeps with an old man. Listen, it's Sean Connery.
It's James Bond. Turns out that Indy did actually protect himself somewhat. He gave Marcus some of the pages from the diary that made up the map. So now that they have the rest of the verbiage from the shield, they know where to go to look for the map. What was the name of the city? Alexandretta. So he's like, yes, of course.
Alexandretta. Say it one more time so I can bang it in my head.
In the Canyon of the Crescent Moon is where they need to look for it.
I know exactly where that is. It's right down the street from the 7-Eleven.
Yeah, of course. You can't miss it. You truly can't miss it.
But this is correct. If you're in the air, it's right there. It's like, oh, look, there it is. But this is when Indy gives the speech that Marcus is, he's already, if you're lucky, he's already 2 days ahead of you. He's going to blend in. He's going to disappear. He's going to become one with the group. And then you just see this guy in the middle of Calcutta going, "Hello, is anybody speaking English here? Hello. What?" But Salah finds him.
Yes, another tie to the first movie.
Yes, which is nice to see Salah come back.
And we also get the great scene where, because the Nazis don't kill the Joneses, they're like, well, maybe if we can't figure out these pages, once we get our hands on Marcus, we might need them still. They keep him tied to chairs back to back.
Intolerable. I think he says that 3 or 4 times to Dad.
But Dad accidentally sets the room on fire.
Just like later, he shoots the plane. He shoots the tail off their own plane, which I always wondered, how do you not do that anyways? You have a big gun turret. How do you keep away? Anyways, he goes, "Oh, sorry, Sean, they got us." It's like, no, you shot your own plane.
But you also get a nice young Frankenstein joke here with the turning of the wall and the.
But so they break free. Yeah. Eventually.
Then you get the classic visual of Sean Connery in the sidecar of the motorcycle.
Yes, and this is fun.
Aren't we going on the boat?
Why they should have just taken the boat. I guess it's a one-way street. Like,
Yeah.
if you're on a boat, they're just going to catch up to you. At
He
some
just
point.
wanted to scare the Nazis by busting out of that, box right there. Oh,
Yeah. But this is the fun part, which is when they escape and they're on this motorcycle chase is fantastic. At the end of it, Indy's like all proud of himself that they've gotten in the look of disdain on his father's face is just like, I don't know who you are. What are we doing here?
Yep.
And he's just like, I got rid of those Nazis, Dad. Come on. Those people in the audience love me. Dad, not so much.
Now it turns out they have to go to Berlin to retrieve the pages.
So we never find out like how they captured Salah, or no, they got Marcus,
Salah accidentally
he
put
puts
Marcus in the truck. Yeah.
Yes. Right. Yes. So now they have Marcus and the pages.
So the audience is not confused that did Salah just sell him out? Nope. You just see Salah holding his head like, oh no, what did I do? As the truck is driving away.
That's right up there with accidentally blowing up the truck with
and Salah's
Marion
like,
in the back of it.
nobody attempts to give chase to the truck. Oh, I guess it's too late now. There he goes.
There it goes.
Yep.
There it goes.
There it goes at 20 miles an hour.
Right. That big giant truck. But this is another character actor who's playing Hitler is Michael Sheard, who was another villain in the Empire in Empire Strikes Back.
Really?
Yeah, he played another character. So this visual of them burning books and then Hitler's walking around and he grabs the book out of Indy's hand and then signs it. Would Adolf Hitler have signed his name in English?
Or because it's a book, wouldn't he just throw it? If this is not Mein Kampf, this is not Mein Kampf. I'm throwing it in the fire.
I don't know. There were a bunch of autograph seekers there. They're all looking for his autograph.
But did Indy know that Schneider was going to be at that specific place, or did he just run into her in Berlin?
No, it's not. It's never explicit. I mean, it's a big rally.
Yeah,
there's a lot of people there. The odds of him actually running into her are pretty slim, but yeah, they do run into each other. I did read that they used real Nazi uniforms, and that during this parade sequence, Spielberg, anybody that was goose stepping and giving the old stiff arm, had their hands behind the other hand behind their back with their fingers crossed.
Really?
Yeah.
I read that too, that the uniforms were real, but I'm like, how many countless extras were in here that they had to get real uniforms for?
And they got to be heavy. They look like they're like wool. They're not comfortable.
Yeah, especially with like a giant bonfire. Yeah. Hot. So this is where we also get the little Hindenburg blimp.
We get the Zeppelin.
Yeah.
The Zeppelin, is it a dirigible?
A dirigible.
A dirigible. Yeah, apparently, speaking of hot, the filming the sequence was so hot that they did their scenes with no pants on. Really? Sans slacks.
You mean the bonfire scene?
No, the Zeppelin scene.
The Zeppelin scene?
Yeah. It was filmed in a very hot studio. Oh. And Connery did not want to sweat too much. So Connery and Ford wore no trousers.
Did they go commando?
That would be very scary. Junior.
But this also gives us, what I think is the best joke in the whole movie, where
he throws
the officer out of the Zeppelin and says, "No ticket."
They all
fumble for their tickets.
Yeah.
Yeah.
This is a big fear of mine, by the way.
Getting thrown out of a Zeppelin?
Yes, no, it's just the no ticket thing. I don't like, in this day and age, I'm such a, I don't even want to say a boomer because we're Gen X, but the idea of that my plane tickets are on my phone. If I get somewhere and I don't have cell service, or you go to Ticketmaster now and everything is like, I have a 3 reminder with all of my stuff printed out, yes. QR codes and everything, screen grabs. I'm not leaving anything to chance. And
I'm always, even though those tickets are on my phone, when I'm in the security line, I'm always fumbling to get to it on my phone.
Right. I don't like it.
As I'm being judged by the guy as he's waiting for me to bring my...
Yeah. Like I was on the train last week and you can buy your tickets for the Long Island Railroad and for the Amtrak. And it's live. Like it's a little thing that goes back and forth to show the conductor that it's actually a live ticket. And I'm like, what if I lose cell service? What if I take a screen grab? And he's like, well, that doesn't count. I'm not going to let you on this train. I don't know. There's too many options. I'm still paper trail kind of guy.
Yeah, I do like the security of having the tickets in my pocket. So I will agree with you there.
And we're completely off track. But you're right.
So
this is a nice scene. And then they steal the biplane.
they steal the biplane, but okay, they throw the officer off the blimp, but the blimp still takes off. I'm like, wait a second.
It's like, yeah, sir, we're without one guy. It looks like all the luggage is still on the ground, too, because that's what he falls on.
That's what he falls on. And then there's a throwaway line when they're making it towards the biplane saying, oh, they must have figured out the radio was disabled. They didn't figure out that the officer was sitting on the pile of luggage, but no.
Right. Who's shipping him?
So now we get the dogfight scene, which we've alluded to before, where Sean Connery knocks out his own tail section.
This is intolerable.
Do you know how to fly? Yes, I do. I just don't know how to land.
Just don't know how to land. Yeah, because we saw that in Temple of Doom. Yeah. They crashed right into a mountain.
And now this scene, the plane chase through the tunnel is also a classic.
How did that hold up on the big screen? Because it falls apart even on the TV.
It was cool. You know, you accept that there's limitations to some of these effects.
Yes.
But it was
I'm glad that they don't go back and tweak this stuff.
No, it was very 1941-ish, you know.
Yep.
You know.
Yeah, sure.
But it's funny how the plane surpasses them in the tunnel, and the guy looks at him like, huh?
And the pilot's just looking at it, right, because he rips off both wings.
Yeah.
And he's just like, yep.
Tell me that's the Roger Rabbit tunnel, or was that filmed at a separate location?
Think so. No. That's, you know what? I didn't even pick up on that. I doubt it. I don't think any of this was filmed in L.A.
Okay. Yep. And then, of course, the conclusion of this particular chase scene is the scaring of the seagulls on the beach when the last German plane gets taken down by all the seagulls.
Bird strikes. Yeah. Not good. And now this is where Dad is proud of himself, because he is now he's now up in his game.
Yep.
Indy can have fun. I can have fun too. Look at that, son. I just shaved us. Charlemagne. I remembered my Charlemagne.
Now the chase carries on, and what country are they in where the actual Grail is located?
Well, they're in Alexandretta, but I don't even know if that's a real place. The big temple that they come across, that's in Jordan. That's Petra, but there's no inside. It's
the real location.
The real location.
The real location.
But I think it's supposed to be in this made up city of Alexandria.
But that was supposed to be a tomb in itself, right? That was the purpose that thing was built into the side of the mountain.
Are we talking in real life? Or
in real life. So it's got a door that you can go into.
But it's not. There's no, like, you can't wander around inside like what they did. And if you ever watch Josh, I talk about this guy a lot, Josh Gates on the Expedition Unknown. They recently just went there and found a bunch of tunnels and chambers at the front of it.
Is this where Al Capone kept some of his prohibition?
Yeah, you know who was in there? It was Geraldo Rivera. He was still looking. Yes.
Maybe if we knock down this wall back here, maybe there's something else.
Right. Such a stain on that man's oeuvre.
Hatay is the name of the country in the movie that they this tomb was supposed to be in, and you see a scene of the Nazis trying to pay off the leader of the country. Okay, we want to buy the Holy Grail from you.
Okay,
what's it going to take? These pots and pans that we brought for you? No, Rolls Royces.
All right.
And if you've ever watched The Young Ones, this actor that's playing the leader of the country was Alexei Sayle.
Okay.
So he is an English actor playing the leader of Hatay here. And he takes a few Rolls Royces for one of the greatest prizes in all of archaeological history.
Okay, that's right. Rolls Royce, man.
So the Nazis are given the free and clear to do whatever they want to in this valley or canyon of the Crescent Moon. And as you said, it's a real life location in Jordan, but it's like a facade, like a building carved into the rock, the stone.
Yeah, this is
fantastic visual.
Oh, it's gorgeous. And what's wild is when I first saw this movie back in 1989, I was working in Manhattan and I was living in Queens, and a neighbor down the street said she had actually been there. She was in Petra. And she had visited. It's now like a national, it's like a world UNESCO, World Heritage site.
And this movie kind of put it on the tourist
correct.
map because
Sure.
apparently it only used to get a few hundred visitors every year before this movie. Then after the movie came out, it jumped up to like 1 million visitors
Yeah,
a
sure.
year.
Everyone wants to go there now. I want to see it.
And I read that jokingly, they said that they were going to change the name of it from Petra to that place from Indiana Jones.
It would have got a lot more traffic. I want to go to that place for Indiana Jones. Well, between this and the opening sequence in Utah, I'm like, these places look hot. I don't know if I need to go there.
I know those jagged rocks in Utah.
Yeah.
They look like exposed teeth coming out of the.
Oh, it's just like it's like a Roadrunner cartoon come to life.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But again, I'm almost positive that if you see Soarin' at Epcot, they go through that
Okay.
very same location.
Huh. Okay.
But anyway, so after the big tank fight, we get to Petra. So there's some nice visuals here in the tank fight. I mean,
The tank fight is fun.
Where Indy especially has to stop his father from getting eaten by the tread. So he's got the whip around his ankles as he's fighting off the Nazis. And the one guy that gets thrown out of the dirigible earlier also rides the tank down into the canyon to his demise.
Yeah. This is where we find out that the pen is mightier than the sword.
Yes, yes. Oh, the pen is mightier than the sword. Get it?
Like again, he's like slowly coming around to like, all right, I can kind of do this.
Yes.
It's kind of fun. Junior.
So the tank scene does get us to
but this is a great scene where they think that Indy's dead. They think he went over. And they're all like mourning at the top, and all of a sudden he comes crumbling. He's crawling up.
His dad is behind him. He's like, "What are you looking at down there?"
Right, correct. He's looking over with him, and then the hat rolls back up. So there was, if you ever watch any of those behind the scenes stuff, like they had a really hard time keeping his hat on his head, and so there's a visual joke where he actually takes like a staple gun and staples it to his head, and you're like, I don't think he really did that.
But it's funny before they realize that Indy is standing behind them, they're all looking down the thing, and he's thinking that they're just appreciating what he just did. Right? So he's like, yeah, that was something, wasn't it? The look on his face. And then they turn around and everybody realizes, yes. So that is also another comedic high point of this movie. So yes, now Petra, which is, the out in the open location of the Holy Grail. I can't see how you could miss this.
Well,
as you said, even flying by it.
Right. I wonder if you could see it from the air, because it is in like some kind of a gorge that's surrounded by the high walls. So I guess you'd have to know where you're looking to find it. But yeah, local people must know it was there. Now,
part of the use of the diary is not only getting them to the point, but also navigating them through the trials.
It's like an instruction manual.
Yeah. They've been the Nazis are already in there, right? Once our heroes get there as well. And they're captured. And so the Nazis have been sending volunteer, quote unquote, volunteer into the breach to try and get through these trials. And none of them can get past the first one.
No, these blades are going to get you either way, whether you're standing or kneeling. This thing,
and nobody can really report back as to what they see in there because they're getting their head chopped off. But you would think that maybe it would be a foregone conclusion. Okay, their heads keep rolling. Maybe if you went in on your stomach, then that wouldn't happen. Yeah, only a penitent man can make it through that first trial. So after he repeats penitent about 1 million times to himself, he figures out he's got to kneel. And the blades.
See, this is where Dad would have been able to do this if he wasn't shot.
He's already shot. So
so now Indy has to do this.
They're forcing Indy to go in because his dad is going to die if he doesn't get the Grail, which will heal him.
But this is the visuals are a little rough and they're dated. But, this goes right back to the opening of Raiders where, they find the original adventure guy, Forrester, impaled and is just his skull still hanging when he was trying to get that artifact. Right. So, there's a, history of these booby traps. Booby trap, booby tapped. Speaking of which, I watched the Goonies last night.
Oh, you did?
Yeah, it still makes me laugh at the end when they get rescued, and then Data's like, and then the giant octopus. And you're like, there's no octopus in this movie. It was cut out.
Yeah.
You can see it. You can see it in the Cyndi Lauper video, though. All right, there we go. So Pennant, yep. So he's got to make his way through. There's 3 trials.
There's 3. Yes.
Yes.
The second one is follow in the footsteps of the word.
It's like he has to leapfrog onto the letters
He's
to
got to
spell out Jehovah.
In Latin, Jehovah doesn't start with a J. It starts with an I.
An I, you idiot.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Doesn't seem like that hard of a challenge, though, because they're very small stones. So I don't see how you could completely fall through one of them.
Right.
He manages to save himself before he falls to his death.
Yeah.
The third one is the coolest because it's got the invisible bridge.
The leap of faith, yeah.
Yes. So, and when the camera moves just a certain way, you can suddenly see the bridge.
Yeah.
But it just blends in to the wall on the other side when you're standing looking at it straight on.
And this is interesting because if you go back to the opening sequence, in their house is a painting of the Knights Templar walking on air with the Grail in front of him. Mm-hmm. So this was all kind of like laid out. So he knew all these. It's just a matter of finding this. And it's like, well, if I can just find this place, then I know how to get it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And then he turns around and throws some dirt on it so he can see it better.
Yeah.
And I'm like, it's right there. You just walk straight from the doorway and it's there. Maybe just so he doesn't lose his balance. Because
it's always there, right? It's all about belief. You have to believe. You have to have faith. So I guess if you didn't have faith, or you're like, there's nothing there, and you just step and you just fall like Wile E. Coyote.
Well, if you didn't have faith, you wouldn't step in the first place.
If I had Nazis chasing me, I'd have to. If I made it past the first 2, I don't know.
So say if you jump and then, like you break your ankle when you land on something you weren't expecting to land on, and then you fall over anyway.
It is true. But this is literally the leap of faith, yes.
As if you do that as you're falling, there was something there the whole time.
Right. Only I put rocks on it.
Yeah.
So he makes it.
So he makes it into the room where the grails are. And who does he find there? Some guy that's been hanging out for 700 years.
This guy's got to be so bored.
He is. And he's just reading the same book.
He probably wrote the book. He's like, I forgot my Netflix password.
And he's like, finally, somebody else.
Yeah, this guy's. But you wonder, like, other people have to have come before.
But probably never ever made it all that way, right? Or no, were there skeletons in their room with him?
That's a good question. Because I got caught up in the whole looking at the grails and stuff. So did they say, well, let's make this really hard. It's one last challenge. Now you got to pick out which one's the cup of Christ.
Yep. And if you choose wrong, then you die.
So they carried them all in there. They brought them all with them. They ordered them on Amazon and just had them shipped.
Yeah, they had like a whole sack that over the shoulder.
I guess he had
they
time
brought
to make a bunch of them.
Yeah.
He had nothing but time.
Yeah.
His brother went out to get cigarettes 4,000 years ago. Never came back.
Yeah, he got a taste of the outside world.
Yeah, he's like, I'm not doing it.
But yeah, the Knights thinks that Indy is there to vanquish him and take his place.
He was in no position to fight anybody.
No.
He immediately fell over. Boink.
Nope. Now, Schneider comes in. Dr. Schneider. Miss Duty.
And Donovan. So they both had to go through the same... Like they just watched Indy do it and they're like, oh, I know how to do this.
Well, yeah. How did they get through the first one? Because it's not like Indy yelled back at them. I had to kneel.
Right. Yeah.
Yeah.
But somehow they were watching or yeah. They make it in.
So Schneider says, let me pick. So now is she already turning to Indy's side? Like she picks the wrong one purposely? Did I read into that?
I don't.
She wants to kill Donovan?
Well, no, I think if anything, she wants to be a good Nazi.
Well,
do you think that she purposely killed him?
She purposely killed him. Yeah.
So that she can get it.
That she can get it, or because she offered Indy, we can get it together at the end.
That's like Vader and Luke. It's like, join me.
So I'm pretty sure that she kills Donovan on purpose.
That's interesting. I don't think I have ever had that take. Because she was willing, she was doing some deep dives there to try and stretch it when the earthquakes happened. Like she really wanted to get this thing.
Donovan drinks from the wrong one and it turns him into Doc Brown.
Marty, got to do something about your kids. Oh, that's a
Actually, it was more like,
fantastic-
what was his name in Roger Rabbit? It was more like him. Judge Doom.
Oh, Doom. Yes. Judge Doom.
Yeah. With the eyes, it was more like Judge Doom than Doc
big
Brown.
buggy eyes.
Yeah.
And that's a wild stop motion effect. And I think it took them a long time to actually pull that off, but very effective.
But again,
right up there with the guy's face melting off at the end.
That's just what I was going to say. We're back in Raiders territory with the religious artifact, the chamber where it is. Yeah.
Which is not a bad place to be. Yeah, it's horrific. I mean, she was genuinely terrified. So if she was purposely trying to kill him.
Well, I don't think she knew exactly what. Maybe she just thought he would clutch his chest and then fall over.
Clutch his pearls, drop over. But no, he chose, she chose poorly, but he's the one who drank from it.
But he's the one that drank from it. So he paid the price. So, but Indy, do we know why he knew it was that one? And was there a picture of it in the diary?
Unassuming.
Yeah.
That's a good question. I don't know if there was ever actually a picture. It's always kind of described as a chalice. And I don't know what it looks like in the Last Supper.
I think it is similar to what so I guess you'd have to be familiar with it. But
Indy, Harrison Ford was a carpenter, so he knew. He was like, that is a cup of a carpenter right there. Just a very unassuming, non-fancy glass.
Mm-hmm.
It said jelly on the bottom of it. It was a mason jar. So he drinks from it.
He drinks from it.
And then he waits. So that makes he's immortal.
It does. And then he heals his father with it. Now, the knight says that they can't take it past the seal.
Past the seal, right.
So Elsa wants to share it with Indy. She wouldn't be able to get it out anyway. Correct.
But I think at that point, if that's your obsession and you're like, this is my whole drive, like, I'm not going to stop now. You're telling me I can't take it? All right, watch me. And then she'll probably just befall the same fate that Donovan.
Yeah, well, she does, because they try to take it past the seal, and suddenly there's an earthquake.
Yeah.
The floor splits, and she's still trying to reach for it, and then she falls, and then Indy is trying to reach for it.
Right. Son, let her go.
Yeah, so that's the big father-son moment right there.
Yeah.
He realizes that Indy is more important to him than the Grail.
Yeah. He's still kicking himself. So, which makes me think that this is the first time someone's ever tried to take it.
Okay, so now what happens to the knight? So there's nobody here to vanquish him. So now is he just still alive, buried under rock?
That's my take. Maybe he fulfilled his mission. This thing is now destroyed.
Well, maybe it's not. Maybe it's just at the bottom of the crevasse, and he's just got to sit there, pinned.
Right.
And the knight's like,
just waiting.
The knight's like, this is why we can't have nice things in here.
This is why. Stupid Templars. I don't know why I signed up for this. Yeah, the poor guy. It's never really explained. And like you said, once they're back outside, I guess he loses his immunity. Like, he's not Superman anymore. He heals his dad, and that's about it.
Well, this is why he's still making movies when he's 82 years old.
It's true. That's true. I wonder if he snuck some of it and he gave it to Tom Cruise.
Maybe he did.
Tom Cruise is ageless.
Yeah.
So they make it out. He saves dad. Bad guys are all crushed.
You know what? If
all the other Nazis, all these Nazis have to know now that it's there and how to get it.
That it's somewhere in there. Yeah. It's not like that the facade has been destroyed. That's still, there. So this leads me to believe that if this never happened, the Nazis never went after the Grail, and neither did the Joneses, that this place would have been discovered in modern times, and this knight could make quite a buck getting pictures taken with the Grail, with tourists coming in.
Choose one, choose a Grail.
Polaroids, right?
Choose
just like
Lou Ferrigno.
Just like Lou Ferrigno.
Going to the market on Polaroids.
It's like no for the Grail, $100 a photo, please.
That's right. Oh, $100.
He's got to buy film for the Polaroid.
That is true. What would you do? Yeah, if you're stuck in there.
Yeah.
You got nothing better to do. Did you watch a HGTV show where somebody bought the Brady Bunch house and then redid the interior to look exactly like the set?
I did.
So you could do the same thing. You buy this place and then you gut it up and you put the three shores up there. And like you said, it's a gift shop. You get to the end, take your picture with the knight. I did read that they wanted, who were they looking? Sir Laurence Olivier was considered to play the knight. But he too was also sick, and he died right after this movie was released. So I think that would have taken you out. Like, you can't have a big name guy like that.
I think that they could have with Indy. With Fedora at the beginning. I think that character, because it's a very lighthearted sequence, so
that would have
maybe
been fun.
It would have taken you out, but it would have been fun, right?
Throw
But at
Kevin Costner or somebody like that in there, up and comer.
But I think you're right that if they put a big name in the knight's role in that part of the movie, it would have brought you out of the conclusion of the movie.
No, I agree. So.
But the real conclusion is, you brought up many times, not even after that, is them riding off into the sunset, continuously riding off over the credits. It just never ends. Yeah, it doesn't even. It's not even one shot. They keep fading into another shot as they're riding. Okay, another take. Keep riding.
It's like that end sequence of Blazing Saddles.
Yeah.
They stop off camera, get off, and get into the limos, drive away.
They made 2 other movies, so it never got to be the finish, but it is a perfect finish at the same time.
Yep, and like you said, that score kicks in, and you're just like, this is it, man. This is chills. So iconic. And this is where we find out that we named a dog Indiana, which was George Lucas's Malamute, by the way, who's also the inspiration for Chewbacca. So this dog is inspired 2 franchises, because I think George Lucas, when he found out, the story goes that he was hanging out with Spielberg in Hawaii when Star Wars was released, and Spielberg was talking about he wanted to make a James Bond movie, and the Broccoli family said, "We don't know who you are, and you're never going to touch Bond." And so Lucas said, "I got something better," and he tells him this story. He goes, "Indiana Smith." And he says, "That's fantastic, but how about we make this one little change?"
The Broccoli's never heard of Jaws? Come on.
At the time they didn't. They didn't want him anywhere near the franchise. So he goes out with George Lucas, and he makes this character as well. Think of another character in the last 40 years that's this iconic.
But I think that is a missed opportunity, especially with Roger Moore as James Bond. That would have been right up Spielberg's alley. It's probably why he wanted to do it.
Of course. Yeah, he would have had fun doing it.
Yeah.
So
what would that have been? That would have been either The Spy Who Loved Me or Moonraker he would have done.
If Spielberg had made Moonraker, he could have just used this anaconda from this movie.
Yes, he
just brought it over. Yep. Although because of his commitment to this movie, he had to drop out. Did you know that he was supposed to direct Big and Rain Man?
Yes, I did read that.
I did not know that. So Penny Marshall and Barry Levinson stepped in. Yeah. I think he still executive produced those movies in some aspect. I don't know if they're under Amblin. Maybe are they under Amblin?
They could be. I don't know. We'd have to.
I also learned something, which is when Lucas first pitched this idea, a third movie, he wanted it set in a haunted house.
Yes, I read that as well.
And Spielberg's like, I just made Poltergeist. I don't need to do another haunted. What kind of movie is that?
Yeah.
Is he the one whispering in the ears of these knuckleheads making Jurassic Park movies? It'd be great. A dinosaur in a haunted house. That's stupid. That's a stupid idea. We're going to do it. And they did.
Yeah, because the idea for this part 3 to the Indiana Jones series was, in the works right after the Temple of Doom came out. It just took 5 years to settle on the story, which went through many different incarnations, and that was only the first, that haunted house one. It was like, what was the title of it for the longest time? The Monkey King, I think, was the title.
Is that what it was? I don't even think I got that far.
Indy's father came into the story, and it's just funny that something that seems so perfect wasn't that way from day one.
No, well, that's sometimes it's got to take a while. I did read this guy, Tom Stoppard, who is uncredited, was paid $120,000 to rewrite the dialogue, and specifically those scenes between Indy and his father. Yeah, this guy, I never even heard of him, Sir Tom Stoppard. And he actually got $1 million bonus on the back end after his success.
And successful it was, because this was released on Memorial Day,
Yep,
1989.
Yep. I want to say I was there opening weekend.
Opening weekend,
Manhattan.
yeah.
Like I said, I was working Manhattan at that time, and we waited right in line. I bought the poster, hung in my bedroom in Queens for quite some time. That Drew Struzan famous poster.
Yeah, I definitely saw it. If not on opening weekend, the second weekend, I saw it soon after it was released. It cost $48 million to make. It made $474 million at the box office.
Wow.
So worldwide, it was the number one moneymaker of 1989, even beating Batman.
Which is crazy because you think 89 was Batman's year.
Yeah, it was. To be fair, Batman was number one in America, in North America. But worldwide, Indiana Jones took the prize.
Well, he's a globetrotter.
Yes, he is. He is a globetrotter.
Indeed.
Now, reviews were highly positive, but some were negative, believe it or not. From this age, where I am now, when I look at these first three Indiana Jones movies, even though I do have a connection more with the Temple of Doom than I do with the other ones, I still have a connection with all three. And I am very hesitant to say that one is better than the other, because I can't really say that.
Right.
Sure, Raiders was the first one. There was such a novelty there of, seeing that character for the first time. And Temple of Doom had that darkness to it. And yes, I love Short Round. That is just sits on an island unto itself.
Yeah,
even in
this opportunity, they never brought that character back.
I know. And then, of course, we get Sean Connery in this last one, in a return to that Raiders, flavor. I am not going to say that one is any better than the other, but a couple of the reviews that I read that were negative say that the pacing of this Last Crusade falls short. It's just weird pacing where the first two just kind of move you along the story, while this one has a few stops and starts. I think I felt that at the time that I saw this initially, where I didn't hold it as in high regard upon first viewing as Raiders and Temple of Doom. But as time has gone on, that's by the wayside. I like this just as much now as the other two.
I agree. This is kind of like my Back to the Future theory, which is I love it because it kind of subverts, the first two movies. Indy is the hero. Even though he gets bumps and bruises and he's beat up and he's not like a Superman. But in here, the interaction with his dad and the fact that all of a sudden he reverts back to that kid. I don't think you get that as much if you lose that prologue. That opening sequence where you see him as a kid, and yes, it's kind of silly because it's everything thrown him at once, and it's like, all right, I'm fully formed character now because of this one event. But this is a movie you can watch endlessly. I love it. It's fantastic.
Yeah. Crucially, you don't yet have grumpy Harrison Ford. He is playing. Correct. He's playing Indiana Jones here.
So it's funny you do mention that because he is like. There's a scene when we're first introduced to Elsa. And she's like, you're just like your father. You're giddy as a schoolboy. When they go down into that underground and they find the tomb of the mausoleum with the one knight.
Yeah.
Like you can see it in his face. He is giddy. He is like, holy crap, we found this.
Yep.
Even the little throwaway joke about seeing the Ark of the Covenant on the wall. He's like, she's like, what's that? No, it's the Ark of the Covenant. Are you sure? Yeah, I'm pretty sure.
And in the other ones, you just get the impression what the hell am I doing here?
You're right. Yeah. I mean, it's funny now because we got that Dial of Destiny years after Kingdom's Crystal Skull. But you watch that and you're like, it's just Harrison Ford in a white T-shirt. Like he's not the character. He's still Indiana Jones. He's still. And he's got that layers now with the dad issues and whatnot. So, yeah, I love the two of them together. The wordplay back and forth and just the way they bounce off each other is fantastic.
Yeah.
So, and as we said, here's Spielberg looking to make a James Bond movie, and they create Indiana Jones out of that. So who better to play his father than James Bond?
I know.
So,
But oh, it's just
kismet.
even thinking that, just imagine um, John Williams scoring a James Bond movie because
That would be
him and
interesting.
Spielberg, were hand in
Sure.
hand back in those
Yeah,
days.
you can't have one without the other.
Wow,
Mm,
it's a missed opportunity there.
yeah. I did read this and I thought this was kind of sad. River Phoenix and Sean Connery both passed away on Halloween. One was in 93 and the other was in 2020.
Yes, I remember the night that River Phoenix passed, because
Yeah.
that was
Outside the
huge
Viper
news.
Club? Viper
Yes,
Club, yeah.
huge news
Another
to
place people still go and take pictures in front of
I
because
know.
of that.
He was
So,
an icon of Generation X,
yeah, sure.
so
Yeah.
and he was
Yeah.
really good. It
And we
was
had just covered him. We just talked about him in the sneakers
we
recently.
did, yeah,
That
and
was 92,
we'll have to cover eventually one of your favorites with him, which is Mosquito Coast.
which is where he met Harrison Ford and why he was recommended for this role.
Yeah.
Ford's like, I got a kid over here.
Mhm.
You can play me. You can do a good impersonation of me before I'm grumpy. Now, you also sent me a link to a heritage auction from last year where this
Yeah,
grail
I wasn't,
flop.
after I sent it to you, I wasn't sure of the timing on this thing because I couldn't find a date on it.
So that one looks like it's 2024, but it looks like it also had sold in 2022 on the Prop Store, which is a very famous movie memorabilia site out of the UK.
So
But I couldn't get a price on that one. But the one in 2024 claims that the actual Holy Grail prop sold for $87,500.
wow. So according to the description on that auction website, there was more than one Holy
There
Grail
probably
prop
was, sure. They
made.
probably had they probably
Or
didn't throw that
or
one
as
into the crevasse.
Yeah, or as I, mentioned, maybe the previous owner, something untoward happened to him because he took it past the seal.
Right. There's a bunch of places out there that make bootleg copies of it, so you can probably get a really cheap one if you don't want to bang out $87,000.
Yeah. It looks like the paint chips on that thing awfully easy, so I don't know if you'd want to drink from it.
You're probably going to die of lead poisoning.
Yeah.
I don't think that they vetted their paint back then, but yeah, I think we chose wisely on this.
We did. I think we did choose wisely.
Really sorry I did not get to see this in the theater.
Oh yeah, it was fantastic. It really was.
Yeah.
We still have yet to give Raiders its justification. We should really do a standalone Raiders
I agree.
episode.
I agree. Yeah.
And also Temple of Doom we haven't done yet.
Yeah. Yeah. So
Yes.
well, we did cover Raiders. You probably have to go back to like episode 5, and we did not get in depth.
But now we're just working our way backwards now. So
We're like, wait a minute, we did not do this justice.
yeah,
Because it's our show, and we can do whatever we want.
we can.
We can. And
So do
speaking
you want to
which,
induct? Do you want to induct it?
I'm going to
before
let
we-
you. I want you to induct
okay.
this because
So I would like at this moment in time. Now, as for anybody that's uninitiated with us, we rate our movies on a bucket system. Bucket meaning bucket of popcorn. 1 being the worst, actually 0 buckets being the worst, and 5 buckets being the best of the best that you can be. Very few movies qualify for the 5 bucket honor. And when they do, we try to give them their own special episode, which is what you're listening to today. So I would like to induct into our 5 bucket club Indiana Jones and the Last Crusade. There you go. There's the fanfare. It's in.
So that's it. We're moving on.
So what
Never
are
done.
we doing next time? Are we, again, now talk about the countless number of Fast and Furious and Mission Impossible sequels. Jurassic Park / Jurassic World is building its own using sequels as the foundation.
How many islands did they plant dinosaurs on? So Jurassic World Dominion, weren't they like all loose in the world? There were just dinosaurs roaming around like friggin' raccoons and skunks.
Yeah, there was like a brontosaurus at a construction site and other stuff going on.
Well, no, you're confusing that with Fred Flintstone because he used to use the brontosaurus. That was his mode of transportation. Actually, I'd be very happy to see a Fred Flintstone reference in this one. Do you know? But yeah, we got another one coming up, Jurassic World reboot. So we're not getting. So my guess is that we're not getting a Chris Pratt. We're not getting Dallas Howard.
We're getting Scarlett Johansson.
Scarlet Witch.
So Scarlet. No, that's Elizabeth Olsen, the Scarlet Witch.
Yes.
We're getting Scarlett Johansson, and maybe this is meant to be another trilogy. I don't know. The start of something.
I don't know. But apparently, we're hunting them. They're mutating.
They look like what happens at the end of Alien Resurrection. It's really weird looking mutated dinosaurs that have like some xenomorph qualities thrown in.
If they're going the direction I think they are, because I think there was talk at some point that they were going to do a hybrid human dinosaur army as one of the concepts that never made it. And I think that's where they're going with this.
Well, that would be called The Land of the Lost, and then you'd have the Slee Stack, right?
Well, you want to talk? I just pulled up the movie poster because I'm doing the graphics for our Instagram page, and lo and behold, there's a T-Rex chasing a bunch of people in a raft on the water.
Really? Going over a waterfall?
They're on a routine expedition, and then an earthquake.
One's got pigtails.
They're still out there doing the photo ops.
I'm sure they are.
They commit Will and Holly.
I'm sure they are.
Yes. But more importantly, I think, is the backup features that we've decided to choose.
Yes. There's still plenty of dinosaur movies that we haven't covered. Too bad we can't just do The Last Dinosaur every time we do a dinosaur movie. Yeah.
Nope.
But no, we're not doing Last Dinosaur again. We are covering another classic, but this one truly is because it has the work of the great Ray Harryhausen.
Yeah, stop motion master.
The Valley of Gwangi.
Bless you.
Which is Cowboys versus Dinosaurs would be a nice alternate title.
Yeah, we could have paired this up with Cowboys and Aliens.
Yeah, we could have.
Yeah. The Valley of Gwangi. Yeah, so he's an Allosaurus.
Yes.
That a cowboy finds and decides we're going to put him in a circus.
This is a Allosaurus that has survived the millennia. So
Al to his friends.
Yeah. Valley of Gwangi, 1969.
1969. I was 2 years old. You were a year away from even coming. All right. Jurassic World Rebirth. I'm going to withhold judgment, but that will be our next episode. And
yes,
I will hopefully come back with vacation tales to regale you all with.
Yes.
And I'll tell you, barreling back into July, and then we're right on the heels of Jurassic World. We're going to have Superman and Fantastic Four. And do you see that they're actually kind of promoting these just like Barbenheimer? They're now promoting as a super fantastic weekend with the Captain with Superman and Mr. Fantastic holding hands.
Are they actually opening against one another? They wouldn't do that.
I don't think so, but they are gonna they're gonna butt heads. Maybe not the first week. I think Superman drops first, and then Fantastic Four afterwards. But they are. Someone has decided to play this up and promote this.
Oh, I can't wait!
I just shared on our Instagram page with Fantastic Four. We're getting all these fun little popcorn buckets. They're going to have a Galactus's head, but the thing's going to cost you $79.
What?
I'm like, well, he's like devourer of worlds, but devastators of wallets. It's like, what the? Like, who's going to pay that?
And this is Regal, right?
I don't know if it's Regal or if it's AMC. I just saw that it was a limited edition popcorn bucket, and it's Galactus's head.
But if it's Regal, they don't even let you reuse those things. You got to buy something else if you want to reuse the bucket.
Yeah, listen, they don't even put the popcorn in it when you buy them because they're in plastic. You buy them and then you take them home and put them on a shelf, and they collect dust.
Yep.
You know, if I'm paying $80 for a popcorn bucket, greasy popcorn ain't touching it.
And in about 6 months on eBay, you'll be able to get probably about $10 for that.
They're probably all being sold on the black market right now. They're not even making it to the stores. So yeah, we're gonna have some dino action. I'm very excited.
Yeah. All right. So until then, thank you for listening, everybody.
Yes, thank you very much. Appreciate it.
All right. Bye. If you like what you just heard, be sure to follow TMI Confessionals of the Nerd Kind on Apple Podcasts, iHeartRadio, Amazon Music, Spotify, or whatever you listen to your podcasts on. Also, be sure to email us at tmipodcast2018@gmail.com.
You can also follow us on all of our socials. We're on Instagram, X, Facebook, Threads. Just go to tmiconfessionalspodcast.com. All of our links are there. And leave us a 5-star review. See you at the concession stand. This is intolerable.